Welcome, everybody. My name is Lisa Stenerson Kramer. I'm devoted wife. This is my husband, Scott Kramer, devoted dad. And this is our little dog, Luna, devoted dog. And welcome to the Devoted Dad podcast. So this evening, we're just talking a little bit about, again, how Canadians are feeling. And it seems like there's a lot of talk about things that we can't do anymore, or regrets about things of, oh, I shouldn't have maybe done this, or I couldn't do that, or, things of this nature, right? And I was saying to Scott, I think we really need to shift our perspective from being in the I can't place to being I can, right? I'm an I can Canadian. In other words, I can do this, I can do that. So we're just going to talk a little bit about making sure that we're really shifting our minds right now, okay, into the most empowering possible place for us. Mm-hmm. Okay, so, honey, what's your perspective on this?
Well, I would say that thought originates from memories and experiences of the past. Yeah. And that our present is filtered through those memories and experiences of the past. And one thing is that we aren't aware that that's where our thinking comes from. And that this feeling of I can't is a sense of overwhelm. And it comes from a place of fear. Fear of failure, fear of missing out, fear of, fear itself. So we convince ourselves that we can't do things because of the overwhelm.
And so for us as Canadians right now, I know a lot of people have been feeling upset because maybe their financial situation isn't as good as they would like it to be right now. Maybe health, along with that, isn't maybe where they want it to be. Canadians have been under a lot of stress for several years now, right? Mm-hmm. And we're still in a period of stress. So there are probably a lot of changes that Canadians have had to experience and adapt to over the last several years. And if we keep thinking about what we could do or what we could have in the past, that really negates the enjoyment and the gratitude of what we can do and what we can have right now, right? I know one example just from our life was when we got married, right? And so for both of us, in our previous marriages, we had big fancy weddings, right? And that just wasn't going to be the reality for us for a whole bunch of different reasons, right? Part of it was personal preference. It wasn't our first rodeo, as we say, right? But also too, just financially and, some other things too. We just weren't able to have, the average Canadian wedding, which is around $35,000, right? And so, there was a moment where we kind of had to make, that decision of, okay, we're choosing to put our resources into other things, right? But we still want to get married. So what can we have? And we ended up having a really beautiful, very, very small little wedding in a heritage church, right, on Salt Spring Island. Hardly anyone was there, right? It was very, very small, but it was perfect. And we just focused on what we could have, right? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that or use some other examples from your life.
From the way that I see it is that we have a limited time on this planet. If we're of exceptional health and we manage to live a long time, we live 85, 90 years. And then it's over. we move on to another existence.
Yeah.
So our time here on this planet is to be present in the here and now, is to live in the love and joy and awe and wonder of life right here, right now. The power of the universe, or God, if you will, exists in the present, right? If I'm not keenly aware of right now, then I'm constantly living in my head.
Yeah.
I'm constantly living in the psychological time of the past in the future. I'm not enjoying life right here, right now. So a lot of that is transitioning from the shoulds to the cans, or the I can'ts to the can. I can. I'm Canadian. And we look at the past, and we're always thinking, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And it comes from a place of lack. It comes from a negative, depressing, or disappointing type of energy or emotion. We can be in the so that past, of looking at the past like that, is imposed onto our present. So we look at our present and we say, well, I should do this. I should have that. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't do that. So that negativity from the past is put onto the present.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that we're totally blocked out from looking at what we can do as opposed to what we can, and rather focusing on what we can't do, because it comes from within us. And it's so if we can shift our mindset and understand that our past is always constantly imposing itself on our present, and we can allow ourselves to let that go. And if we make the decision, we choose to believe that we can, it changes our mindset. It changes the energy.
Yeah.
It makes the world much more brighter, and there's more possibilities. It creates more connection between you and I. There's not so much past. There's not so much just me between you and I. Right? There's not very much me between myself and the universe. There's not so much me between myself and God. So it comes down to making a decision to believe I can. So we must believe in what we can do. Right? So we can believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would much rather be an I can Canadian than a I can't, and I'm stuck in overwhelm, and I'm stuck in feeling caught flat-footed in this current situation. No, there's no point in that, right? There's no point in all of us have to do a little pity party, for a little bit, but then you got to get out of that and just be like, okay, no, I'm an I can Canadian. I can do this. I can make a good life right now with all the circumstances that are happening right now. And like you say, it's about focusing on the present, focusing on what's available right here, right now.
That's right.
Not worrying about what we could have done in the past or what was done in the past. Just going back to our example of our wedding, right? We had totally small little wedding, and yet it was beautiful, and it was so warm. It was so warm and loving and caring and just beautiful. And so it really didn't matter. It was a totally different experience than the weddings we had had in the
That's
past.
right. If we sat in the situation and said, well, I should have a $35,000 wedding,
Yeah. We would have been.
we would have never got married.
Yeah, exactly.
And we never would have enjoyed
what we had.
What we have and what we have now.
Yeah. And all the guests loved it too. Like that was the other thing, is that it was just, the ambiance of it was wonderful.
And that's all goes back to a lot of about expectations. And it's having reasonable expectations in our life.
Yeah. For wherever we're at.
Yeah. Rather, as opposed to having unrealistic expectations. If we can let go of the unrealistic expectations and live in the moment, allow life to unfold as it should, enjoy life as much as live in the love. And let me tell you, love is not what you think it is. Love for me is defined as being present, aware, and giving life its undivided attention. And so leading with love, we can deal with any catastrophe with serenity, any challenge with serenity, because we are aware that our internal battle and how we see and interpret and the situation is within us, that we need to allow that internal struggle to pass through us so that we can handle any fearful hardship that may come. And believe me, I've been through some terrifying, horrifying, I've been through an extremely terrifying and horrifying situation in my life. And the overwhelm was so great. I had no idea what I was going to do and how I was going to survive it. But I made a decision. I made a decision, and I came to believe that anything was possible. And I was able to get through that by being able to, through this fear and this anxiety, I was able to, the fear brought up to me and made me aware of the situation. It brought my attention to it. I was able, led by love, I was able to use the appropriate emotion to handle that situation. So I was able to use a God-given emotion of anger to cope with that situation. And I don't mean anger as I'm running around beating everybody up, being violent and destructive or anything like that. What I mean is that it was a motivating force, and it was supportive of life, where I was able to say, this is not going to take me down. This is not going to take my children down. This is not going to destroy my career. And it's not going to put us on the street. And it was supportive of life, and it made me act. So once I got through the immediate challenge, I was able to let that anger go. And I was able to move on to a higher level of attention. I was able to have that courage to continue to move forward. I was able to see the wholeness and the completeness of the situation, of life in that moment. So,
and I think, there's several of us Canadians out there, probably more than several, that right now are dealing with all sorts of different types of emotions. And I'm glad you brought up anger. You can use anger. You can use anger productively. Whatever you have going on right now, you can use it.
As long as it's led by love.
That's right.
And you're aware that anger can turn to a destructive force. But it also can be a force to support life.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, this thing between, like with Canada and our society and our nation. Well, rightly so, we are angry.
Mhm.
But how can we not be consumed by rage and not be finger pointing at one another and blaming one another?
Mm.
How
Yeah.
can we pull together and use that anger to get us through positively to the other side of this immediate threat? Right? What are the things? The fear has brought our attention to it. The anger will move us to action.
Yeah.
But it's led by love.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not going to go start a war and shoot people and and all that. It will bring us together, put our differences aside, and we'll get to work and get things done.
Yeah.
And then we can move on to the unknown void of the future.
Mm-hmm.
We can move on to the plethora. We move on to the abundance that the world has to offer us.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
You know, and that's how we can shift our. And once we get through that immediate threat, as a nation, as individuals, then we gain experience and we go, oh my God, I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start to build belief and faith in yourself, in one another, the universe, and God.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
You know, so
100%.
so that's how we can use being aware and present and give undivided attention to ourselves internally and externally.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So that's just kind of a small little piece that we wanted to talk about tonight. Canadians, we are I can Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Please don't feel like, these circumstances are insurmountable, because they're not, right? It's all how we perceive it. Yes, we have to acknowledge if we are feeling overwhelmed in a moment, but that too shall pass. And we can use our emotions appropriately and to move forward.
That's
right?
right. Once we get through that initial fear and the shock and the anger, we can move to courage, and we can move to willingness, and we can accept the fact that what was is over, and we can accept the fact and be looking forward to the excitement of the future.
Yeah, I agree.
And we can use, because we are of a clear mind, we can use our intellect. Canadians, we are smart people.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use our intellect, and through love and joy, we will attract abundance from the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have so many possibilities right now. And being I Can Canadians, I think is so important right now. And we're really being offered an opportunity to really develop that within ourselves more, right? Mm-hmm. And it'll be very interesting to see where our nation goes in the coming times, right? So anyway, to everyone that was out there joining us tonight, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all your feedback. We love hearing from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it and please share it. We just want to have conversations with people, just have conversations as average Canadians and just share heart to heart. Yeah.
That's right. Yes, my friends, we can do this. If we have that awareness, presence, and undivided attention for one another, we can get through anything. We will come out the other side. Now, where there's equal darkness, there's equal light on the other side. We can do this. Anyways, my friends, we love you lots. Stay devoted. Devoted Dad.